Netflix's new film, Home Team, I finally got around to watching, starring Kevin James, Rob Schneider, Taylor Lautner, and Jackie Sandler. I think. Yeah, that's her name. So, this film's an odd case because when I heard that Netflix was making a movie about Sean Payton, him being suspended from the NFL and he goes to coach his kid's football team because this is actually a true story, I thought this was an interesting idea. And I thought, okay, this has a lot of potential, so I had it, so I was going to watch it. But then I got worried when I saw that it was being produced by Happy Madison Productions. And if you don't know what that is, it's Adam Sandler's production company. And as you may know, Adam Sandler has been known for making absolute shit. So, yeah, that kind of took down my hype. But then I saw the trailer that came out, and I'm watching the trailer thinking, you know what, this isn't that bad. The lines were the comedic moments within the trailer were actually pretty funny. They were decently funny. They weren't like laugh out loud, but they gave me some chuckles out of it. And the story still seemed interesting. Honestly, I thought Kevin James and Taylor Lautner looked like they were doing pretty good in the movie. But then, the very end of the trailer has the scene of the kids winning a football game by projectile vomiting. That kind of took down my hype a bit. Because I'm like, okay, this is looking really good. And then you get to that at the end of the trailer. Oh, man. Again, you move one thing and your camera tips over. But then you had that one scene at the end of the trailer that just kind of fucked with it. But now the movie is officially out, and you know what? It's not that bad. It's not a masterpiece, don't get me wrong. I don't think any Happy Madison production ever will be. Never has been, never will be. So I'm trying to think what I should talk about first. Because, let's talk about the acting. It's all pretty good, because it's all pretty good. I'm serious. Kevin James is pretty good as Sean Payton. Doesn't really look like him, because they show a picture of the real Sean Payton and Connor Payton at the end of the movie, and he doesn't look like him at all, but he does pretty decent in the role. This proves that Taylor Lautner is actually a really good actor, and Twilight was just him not giving a shit. And his career took a nosedive, but honestly, again, that was Twilight's fault, not his. And then he made some pretty bad career choices by turning down other movies and going to do shitty ones. Kind of like at the end of Sean Connery's career, the more I think about it. Because he turned down like Matrix, Lord of the Rings, and shit like that to do stuff like The Avengers and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And not the Marvel's Avengers, the crappy 1998 movie based on the 60s television show. But I digress. Rob Schneider's in this, and some people love Rob Schneider, some people hate him. I have nothing too much against him. I will say he doesn't take criticism well, when it comes to his films at least. He doesn't take criticism well, that is one thing I will say, but he's not a bad actor. Like, the only thing I can think I've seen him in some Adam Sandler movies, and most of the time, he's not awful. Like, he just kind of shows up for a cameo, really. And he was the star of Norm the North, which was probably the worst film of 2016, but nobody could have made that movie work. You could have had freaking Chris Pratt as Norm, and the movie still would have been ass. But he plays like a hippie. He plays Sean's ex-wife's new husband, I guess, named Jamie, I want to say his name is. And he's some kind of, hippie, I guess, so I'm guessing I'm not sure how much of this is actually fact. I know the story itself is real, but I'm not sure how much of the individual pieces are fact. I'm guessing this is true. So, and he plays it actually pretty well. He gets some good laughs. My favorite part was because Connor is, of course, distant from his father for obvious reasons, and he learns that his father's going to take him to practice because he doesn't realize he's going to be the new coach. And then he's like, no, I'll just skip practice. And then Jamie's he's meditating there. And he says, all right, fine, I'll tell you the story about the time I was in a sauna with 10 sumo wrestlers. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And I'm like, that was really funny. Yeah, it's an obvious joke. I knew something like that was gonna happen, but it was still pretty funny, and Schneider played it really well. And even though Adam Sandler isn't in this, his wife is. I'm pretty sure that's his wife. But she does pretty good as Beth. She doesn't have a ton of screen time, but I do like that again, this could be down to the fact that it's based on a true story, but it doesn't follow the traditional stereotypes. Beth is actually happy to see Sean, and Jamie isn't this jealous douchebag when Sean comes back. He has nothing against him. He's actually quite friendly with him. Actually, Jamie seems like a really nice. He's, of course, a hippie, and they're kind of annoying, but he's a generally nice guy. There's a coach named Coach Mitch, some fat guy who's like some out of shape coach. He gets a few jokes that aren't particularly funny. There's a couple that work, but I'll get into that more when I talk about the humor itself. And then there's a bus driver named Gus. Gus the bus driver, I guess. He's funny. I like Gus. He's awesome. The kids all do their job pretty well, too. I like the kid who plays Connor. He does pretty well in the role. I've seen the kid who plays Paulie somewhere. I can't think of where, though. I've seen him in something, though. But all the other kids, they do their job pretty well. I don't think there was really a bad performance in this movie, which is surprising. And the comedy surprisingly works more often than not. But the odd thing about that is that it doesn't have a lot of actual jokes. And when I say that all the time, I mean, it just has a bunch of shitty sight gags or stuff like that. But no, more of the movie than I thought plays it quite straight. I'd say about 2/3 of the film played the story very straight, which shocked the hell out of me because this movie was being advertised as a comedy. And honestly, other than an awful projectile vomit scene, which was the worst scene in the movie, don't get me wrong, there are some jokes that don't really work that well, but there are some that actually really got a laugh at me. There was one that I actually wanted to rewind. I actually rewinded because it was really funny. It's not going to look as funny if I do it here. You have to actually watch it because the timing of it's so good. But the basic gist is that Coach Mitch is essentially he's not really a dick, but he's kind of an idiot. And one of the kids, they're like doing drills and trips and falls because most of these kids are uncoordinated schmucks at the start of the movie. And Coach Mitch, he's like holding up one of the tackling dummies, and he starts laughing at him. And then Lautner's, I think it's Coach Troy, is that his name? He's like, "Hey, Mitch," walks up and just kicks the tackling dummy and knocks Mitch on his ass. It doesn't sound funny the way I said it, but I can't really. You have to actually watch it because the timing is just so good. It's so funny that I rewinded it because I wanted to see it again. That was really funny. And there were some jokes that really worked. Well, a few of them were in the trailer, and they got a laugh out of me again too. Because there's one kid who doesn't like contact, because he throws the football, and he's like, "What's his deal?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't. Dennis doesn't like contact. Do you know he's playing football?" I'm like, "That's pretty funny." I'm like, I was even thinking the same thing. I'm like, yeah, why is he playing football if he doesn't like contact? But whatever. Unfortunately, this movie is not without its shortcomings. I already mentioned that there were plenty of jokes that don't really work. But the main problems with this movie, unfortunately, come with the technicalities. The direction is sloppy. Especially during the football scenes, it's a mess. There's so many close-ups. The editing doesn't help, but I'll get into the editing in a second. Every once in a while, you get a shot that's pretty decent, but there's so many, close-ups, and just the camera seems like it's in the wrong place most of the time. The editing is a frantic mess during those scenes as well. I swear there's not a single shot that's longer than 2 seconds. It, constantly jumps from shot to shot to shot, and it's disorienting. But then you have, the slow dialogue scenes, which are not incompetent, at least. They're directed and edited serviceable enough. But it's just bland and uninspired. It's just medium shot, reverse shot. Every once in a while you'll get a wider shot. Same thing with the football scenes. Every once in a while you get a nice looking wide shot. But most of the time during the football it's close up and frantic editing. And then during the dialogue scenes it's just medium shot, reverse shot. It's just all the same. And I wish we had a little bit more variety in there. But but the writing for it isn't that bad. The writing actually kind of makes up for it. The dialogue isn't horrendous. There are plenty of moments that actually legitimately work. I like Connor isn't he doesn't hate his father. His anger comes from the fact that he doesn't know anything about him. It's not that he wasn't there, that he went off to coach the Saints. He's more upset that he doesn't know anything about him. Because there's even a scene. He talks to his dad. He's like, "People always ask me about you, and I always have to make the stuff up because I don't know anything about you." I'm like, yeah, that would piss me off too. I do have to say that I'm not sure how old these kids are supposed to be, but a lot of them seem to vary in age quite a bit. A few of them look like they're about 10 or 11, but Connor looks like he's about 15. I'm not sure what age group this is supposed to be. Again, the football scenes, other than the frantic editing, it's not done horribly, but again, just the shot composition and the frantic cuts get in the way, but honestly, they're not that bad. And damn, it's becoming a trend nowadays where the team that you're like the main characters don't win the game at the end or whatever. They end up losing and like, oh, we learned a lesson. It doesn't matter. We lost the game. Not really what happens here. The basic gist is that in this little lead that they have, once a team hits 40, they shut off the scoreboard. I don't know if they have to win by 40. I think it's just when a team gets to 40. Okay, not really sure why, but whatever. But they're talking about, okay, we're gonna shut the scoreboard down on them because this is basically like the best team in the league that they're playing against. Obviously, this is basically Mike Lupica's The Underdogs, which is a book I really like, so I don't have a problem with that. But of course, they have the kid kick the field goal who keeps. There's a running joke where he keeps hitting the center in the ass. It's not funny, but in this one, he kicks it over the line, sails right, and hits the scoreboard. I did like the fact, like, okay, he shut down the scoreboard because they kind of, like, broke the scoreboard. But the thing, like, exploded? I'm pretty sure I could shoot a football out of a cannon and it would not make the scoreboard explode, but especially not this skinny 12-year-old or whatever he is. But I do like that it shuts the thing down. It's like, and they're, like, celebrating even though they lost by 3 or something. It's like they're celebrating that they shut down the scoreboard. I'm like, that's cute. That's a decent scene. And so, yeah, this honestly wasn't that bad. This was actually a decent movie. It's been getting shit reviews, because of course it's a Happy Madison movie, but honestly, I don't get it. I really don't. I thought this was fine. No, it's definitely not one of the best football movies. No, Blindside probably still holds that. But honestly, it was a lot better than I was expecting. It was... The trailer basically gave what I thought I was going to get. There were more funny jokes than cringeworthy jokes, and then they had some scenes that were really dumb, but then they also had some scenes that really worked, and the acting was all pretty good, and I liked the characters, I really did. So yeah, that's all I got for Netflix's Home Team. Surprisingly enough, I'm gonna give this a C+. No, not a masterpiece, but honestly, I think C plus to me would still count as fresh, so take that for what it's worth. So, thank you all so much for watching. What do you think of Home Team? Did you even see it? I'm guessing a lot of people didn't see this, but now I have to go watch another Netflix film that no one else has seen. I'm seeing The Royal Treatment. Then I got some other movies to catch up on, so I'll see you then.